Hi, and welcome to the Azam Sharp channel. I'm your host, Mohammad Azam, and we're going to continue learning the WatchKit API that was introduced a couple of days ago from Apple. And in today's screencast, we're going to look at something that is really interesting, which is how you can share data between an iPhone and an Apple Watch. Because essentially, that is what you want to do in most of the applications, right? Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a very simple notes taking application which will allow you to write notes in your iPhone, and immediately those notes will be transferred to your Apple Watch. Now, there are hundreds and thousands of scenarios where you can use that, but one of the most common can be a grocery store where you have a list of grocery items that you want to pick up from the store, and instead of taking out your iPhone uh, and looking at your items, you can simply look at your watch and you will know that what items you want to pick. So let's go ahead and start that. Let me go ahead and run it first so you'll have an idea of what's going on. So this is what the app actually looks like right now. It's a notes app. If I write cookies and I press enter, you can see it doesn't really do anything at this point. Um, since there's a lot of code, I will be basically pasting or uncommenting a lot of the code and going over all the details. And I will do the same for the WatchKit extensions project, which is right over here. Okay, so just bear with me. The first thing that you need to do is to create some sort of a container where your iPhone application can read and write, and your WatchKit application can also read and write. In this case, or in this particular example, we are only going to be doing reading. So some sort of a container, okay? And Apple recommends that you use app groups. Now, what exactly are app groups? It's just a container for your application where you can write the information and you can read the information. Now, how you create app groups is pretty simple. So these are different targets for our Watch Notes application. I'm going to just click on Watch Notes, which is the iPhone application. I'll go to app groups, enable it, and create a new app group called group.watchnotes. Now in the WatchKit extension, I'll do exactly the same thing. I'm going to say app groups enable and select group.watchnotes. So this means that the WatchNotes, the iPhone application, and also the WatchKit extensions, they all can read into group.watchnotes app groups that I just created. And that's all. Then we have to say NS file presenter. Now NS file presenter is basically, it allows your container, it allows the view controller, or basically any file that is implemented, to be a presenter of that particular file, so they can view and edit the contents. Okay, and it works directly with the NS file coordinator, which actually helps to write the file to directories, and it can allow reading and writing. And we'll be using NS file coordinator throughout this code base. All right. This is delete all nodes is simply a function which actually goes through and puts an empty array for our list. Now this is only for demo purposes, okay? And the whole idea is basically when we start the app, we want to start kind of like new, fresh. Just for the demo. I mean, you don't really, in real application, you don't want to clear the list every time the application starts. NS file presenter, it comes with two properties that you must implement. One is called the presented item URL, and the other one is called presented item operation. So let's go ahead and implement those things. Presented item URL is basically a URL to the file where you actually want to be writing, where the URL that we will be writing will utilize the app group that we created, which is called app group.watchnotes. The files that we will be writing is, we are just calling it notes.bin file. All right. And delete all nodes, you can see basically we are using the file coordinator, coordinate writing item at URL, function, and we pass in the presented item URL, and we basically can then at this point write anything that we want to that URL. We're just going to write basically an empty array, and you don't really want to do that in your production or final application. Let's go ahead and create a method called populate notes, which will populate the notes when the page actually loads for the first time. So let's go ahead and do that. Populate notes, and we will uncomment it over here. All right. Most probably, when you run the app for the first time, of course, there will be no notes because the delete all notes is fired. Once again, this is only for the demo purposes. You don't really want to do that in your production application. Populate notes is, once again, reading the item, and once it reads the information at the presented item URL, which is a combination of app groups as well as the file name, which is in this case is notes.bin, it's going to assign it to notes, which is an array. The actual saving of the note is done into a function called saveNote. Here we go, which does the actual writing of the note. So you pass in the note, and the note comes from the text that you write in the text box. So let's go ahead and run it. So I'm going to say cookies, I'm going to say milk, and you can see all these things are actually being stored in the app group using the NS file presenter and NS file coordinator. Now, if you want to read it from the other end, which the other end in this case is the WatchKit extension or the Watch app, you will do exactly the same thing, right? Exactly the same thing. You're going to be reading the notes and populating it in a table view displayed in a WatchKit application. Now, if you are unfamiliar with how to display a table view in your WatchKit application or an Apple Watch application, I highly recommend you go back and look at the previous screencast on the Apple Watch or the WatchKit, which explains how to do that. Let's go ahead and change the target to the watch notes and run it. So here we go. So we have cookies and milk. I want to start the application, and you can see as soon as it starts, it actually disappears because we are, deleting all the notes. Now, if I say cookies, you can see that all the things that I write in my notes is immediately transferred to the Apple Watch application. Okay. And this, of course, list, when it gets larger, is in a table view, so you can actually scroll. And that's pretty much it. So using the app groups, using the NS file presenter, NS file coordinator, you can read and write the information to a particular app group URL, and basically retrieve the information, change the information. Your Apple Watch extension can read that information as soon as it is written, and then you can populate it into a table view as you have shown. You can see that we're simply pushing notes as a string and using the NSKeyed unarchiver and archiver to serialize basically the string. Okay. Another good news is that I have already uploaded this project on GitHub. So just go to github.com/azamsharp/watch notes. You can download the whole project. Just a project that you saw. You can download the whole thing and play around with it. It's pretty cool, right? And that's pretty much it. I hope you like this video, the screencast, and if you have any suggestions, you can always email me at azamsharp@gmail.com. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.